Oh, hey guys, Jack here, back in my usual setting, more or less, and we're going to continue our look over Kamen Rider Double, or W, with our secondary writer, Kamen Rider Accel, or Accel. No, wait, you can only say that one way. Anyway, the true identity of, the true identity of Kamen Rider Accel is Ryu Teruri, and he's considered by many of the show to be one of Double's breakout characters. Do I agree with it? More or less. But let's get into his backstory, which is not a happy one, sadly. I forgot to bring up his driver, so while I do that, I'll explain. You see, Ryu was originally a cop. However, when he came home one day, his family was murdered by a dope hunt. His father leaving a nut, holding on long enough to tell Ryu of a W Gaia memory. Before you ask, no, he does not think the Kamen Rider W did it. For that's just his name. He doesn't use a W memory. So, let's not get into that Rider conflict stuff. But I should also mention something. If I didn't go over in my look over on Kamen Rider Double or W/W itself, which is uploaded, which both videos are uploaded, because if you guys have seen the end of my first video, you know I had to stop midway. Because the Gaia memories that Dopant people, that other people use outside purified ones, eventually minds become so corrupt they can't tell right from wrong anymore. Now if one person is strong enough, they can resist the corrupting effect. However, technically W is kind of weaker. That's because the Gaia memories W used are purified. Again, I'm probably just treading the same ground here, but I feel like it's a good explanation. Before we get back to Ryu's backstory. Back to backstory, that's funny. In any case, the reason W is so powerful is that because he uses two memories with the double driver. If you want to know what that's like, go watch my my look over of the Kamen Rider himself. Or should I say, themselves. I love word puns. I love wordplay. In any case, the reason W is so strong is that because by using two Gaia memories in sync with each other, they don't have to be in perfect sync, but they can still be used together, allows them to complement each other and make them stronger. And a memory's full power is released during the maximum drive. Now, back to Ryu. After his family died, he was approached by a woman named Shroud, who is a manipulated bitch. Seriously, every time she's on screen, I just want to punch her in her shroud-covered face. But that's besides the point. She gave Ryu a sword and his own Gaia memory to start training, telling him to submerge himself in anger, which he had seemed to have done. So let's go. After coming to Futo, we're on his personality now. Ryu was angry, but he kept a demeanor about him that, well, didn't really make anybody see it at first, as he was just another victim. Now, I should go over his catchphrase. It's, "Don't ask me questions!" Oh, I am not kidding. That is literally his catchphrase. Yes, it is weird, but it does get hilarious at some points. Anyway, Ryu's blade, known as the engine blade, it sounds like something from either Turbo Ranger, Car Ranger, or Go Onger. Not Kira Major. I don't see it fitting in there. A shiny blade, maybe. But that's besides. But I'm not going to talk about Sentai. Note to self. Talk about Turbo and Car Ranger someday. Focus, man! Excuse me. Anyway, the engine blade is freaking heavy. Ryu, when he first used it, could only drag it on the ground, and then use its momentum as a slashing weapon. It literally takes Ryu 6 years, and we see him, and he can only lift a normal blade after 6 years. Why did I mention the 6 years thing? Well, he would later return in a V Cinema. Those are another term for Japan's direct to DVD movies and specials, like how we have those here in the States. So you could consider some direct to home DVDs, Blu-ray and DVDs as RV cinemas. My personal favorite is Lion King 2 Simba's Pride. I'm not here to talk about Disney. Maybe some other time. But in any case, why was Ryu there? Well, one, we later learned that the city of Futo is actually has a border near Tokyo, which in itself is kind of funny. But the reason Ryu's actor was even there, that's because the actor who portrayed the main protagonist in Kamen Rider Drive, his favorite Kamen Rider Accel. So yeah, we have Shinori Tonosuke's actor, whose name I can't remember, and I think I'm pronouncing his name wrong, for that lovely screen time. But anyway, after coming to the Narumi Detective Agency, Ryu started to become different. He started to finally move on from his past anger, start to go away from his hate. However, we also learned that Ryu's immune to certain dopamine effects. And she wanted him, and Trout wanted him to be Philip's partner. Believing that a W filled with anger, also she hated Shotaro, was the only thing that could stop her husband. I'm gonna go ahead and give this away. Shroud is actually Philip's mother. When she realized what she was doing was wrong, and she realized that Philip was, before he took on the name Philip, calling himself Raito, she was just using him as a weapon, and she tried to escape with him. However, her husband didn't allow it, scarring her with his Tada! Memory. Yes, I will still do that. And I will say, Accel! For you! Because it's fun. Only when I'm entering the memory, of course. I didn't do that with Drive. Double. Crap baskets. Sorry. Anyway, she was scarred and was forced to wrap herself in a shroud of bandages. How the heck she sees out of there is beyond me, but she's probably got some eye holes cut out that are hidden by those sunglasses she wears. It's weird, man. Anyway, she wanted Ryu to submerge himself in anger, like I mentioned previously. But Ryu finally moved past it. And while he can still say, "Don't ask me questions," it's kind of he eventually did move on. Still can't ask him questions, though. Ass. But now that we got all that out of the way, let's go into Ryu's gear. First, of course, starting with, well, his memory gadgets. Specifically, his beetle phone, which is basically a horned beetle, which is basically a blue colored horned beetle version of the regular stag phone. This is kind of funny because in Japan there's actually a power trio between 3 insects: the rhino beetle, the stag beetle, and the ladybug. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but it does. If you guys ever remember Big Bad Beetleborgs and wondering why the red Beetleborg was actually not based on a beetle, that's why. But in any case, I did already. Anyway, let's move on into Ryu's main transformation item, which is the Accel driver. Unlike W's double driver, God, that's weird to say. That's weird to say either way you put it. It only uses a single memory, specifically the Accel memory. But because of its bike motif, it can actually for any memory input. It can actually boost that memory back to maximum efficiency. Now, I said Ryu has only the Accel memory. That's currently his only transformation memory at the start of the series. He does have another memory though, the engine memory, which, considering he's based on a motorcycle, does kind of make sense in a nutshell. Anyway, to initiate his maximum drive, he actually pulls the handlebar. He actually pulls the brake. He actually pulls the lever connected to the right side of his driver. But anyway, let's look at those forms, shall we? This is Kamen Accel's main form, which is simply known as Accel. Now, he also has another form known as bike form, which is pretty self-explanatory. How it does not break his bones when he does that, but my best guess is that the suit does most of the transformation work, with probably a part of the suit again, excuse me, morphing Ryu's body to make it feel like his bones aren't shattering on impact, cause wait, actually all he's doing is bending his legs forward and putting his head up. So okay, maybe it's not that far left field. Anyway, his main weapon for any of his forms is the engine blade. This is in its open form. That was its closed form, and this is it in its open form, which is usually always seen when putting a Gaia memory inside it. Anyway, let's go over his finishers, first including his suit weapons. His rider kick is the Accel Granzer. After charging up to the point where Accel is engulfed in orange flames. Oh god, I think I just stopped. Dang it! It was bound to happen at some point. He executes a jumping, spinning heel kick. This can be used with doubles Fang Joker's Frank Strizer to perform the Rider Twin Maximum. Now let's look at the engine blades. After inserting the engine memory into the engine blade, Accel can perform 2 finishers. First is the A slasher. Accel delivers a concentration of energy in the shape of the letter A. Next is the dynamic ace. Accel performs 3 consecutive slashes that forms the letter A in a horizontal or vertical plane, slashing through the Dopon to destroy it. Now, there's also an unnamed finisher by using the cyclone memory in the engine blade, where he unleashes a series of powerful wind slashes. Fun. Now let's look at the Accel gunner again. I don't think I went over that, so I'll just pop up the image again just for clarity. Now, like Fang and the extreme memory and the double driver and Kamen. Now, like everything else our riders have, this was created by Shroud for Ryu, allowing him to combine within his bike mode to become the Accel gunner. With the A gunner robot head turning into a large cannon. Now, its finisher is the gunner full break, where it fires a large blast from the Gaia cannon. Anyway, next we have the Accel builder, boiler, which is basically the back half of the hard boiler combined with Ryu's bike form. So we're not going to go into that. But there is another mode, Accel Tubular. Tubular. Which he combines with the tubular portion that makes up, the hard tubular. Its finisher is Accel Tubular Phoenix. Accel pierces through his target while forming the English letter A. Next is the Accel Splasher, which again uses the splasher portion that usually makes the hard splasher. Like the Accel boiler, it's only ever seen in the toy line, which is why I'm not bothering to show the image. Next, Accel would later get his own upgraded form. This being a transformation adapter similar to the extreme memory. This being the trial memory. As you can see, once in memory mode, it actually does make a T. And this form is known as maximum mode. Now, I'm gonna see if okay, here we go. Now, the maximum drive usually involves him taking out the trial memory and then pressing the start button like it was a stopwatch. However, after this, it can only be used for 10 seconds. Luckily, Accel Trial gives while it does decrease Accel's main power, it does give him a big boost in speed, agility, and mobility. Now, like I mentioned before, like I mentioned before, once the maximum drive is initiated, Ryu has only 10 seconds before he automatically transforms to human. The first is the machine gun spike, where Accel uses a series of multiple kicks in a row. I'm sorry guys, I just remembered I have to take care of something. I'll be right back.